So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today we're going to continue our series on international human resources. We're going to go across the globe and understand human resource law around the world, employment law around the world. I'm going to be talking about Myanmar.
But it'll always be Burma to me.
And as a result, you'll probably hear me call it Burma more than anything. I love this country. I've been there before. I think it's a really great place to go. Check out Yangon when you get a chance. A lot of fun, a lot of great people. And let's dig into Burma. It's a great country. This is from Raja and Tan in Asia. They're an employment law firm. You can take a look down below. If you want to read more about it. So what's interesting here, and I don't think I've seen it before, is that an employer is required to enter an employment contract with an employee within 30 days of commencement. So you don't really have to do it up front. You have to do it down the road. You have to do it, and you have to send the employment contract to a township labor office, and it's based on where the office address is within a specific time period, but there's no guidance on what that time period is. And a lot of times it's just as reasonably practicable. So you don't have to do an employment contract right away. You can take your time, but you have to do it as soon as practicable. If you don't enter into an employment contract in accordance with those rules, you may go to jail for up to 6 months, which is pretty serious. You do have to, although you do have to you don't have to do one, it seems, unless you have more than 5 people. A township labor office would typically refuse to register those contracts. The contract requirements are sort of much greater than anything I've seen previously. If you go look at my previous videos on this topic, it really doesn't have a lot of discussions around the contract. It usually might have maybe 5-10 things at most, but this is 18. They're also, as far as I can tell, pretty standard for employment contracts. Because I'm American, where we don't have employment contracts at all, I really couldn't, I say at all, they're very rare. They do exist, specifically in nursing and in teaching, for example, but for the most part, employment contracts are very rare. And as a result, there's no specific definitions here. All of these things, or most of these things, would be covered in an employment policy handbook, but not in a contract form. Here's another thing where I think Burmese labor law is pretty interesting, because Burmese labor law doesn't actually have a restriction on a probationary period. It says that it shouldn't be more than 3 months, and it's unlikely that the township labor office will approve one that's longer, but there is actually no rules. And that's kind of interesting. I mean, like, you have this, you could enter into a contract with an employee, but if the township labor office says no to the contract, I presume it's a no. I don't know if there's a right to appeal or something of that nature, but I think that's really interesting. I mean, you're both willing to get into the employment contract for whatever it says, and then you can't. The township labor office won't do it. I'm curious how frequent they reject employment contracts, if there's bribes involved, if there's some requirement of money. Please guys, tell me in the comments down below. I would love to have a Burmese HR professional on to discuss this. What does it look like? I included this in here about establishing a presence, although I won't really go into it. This is the specifics on how to start a business in Burma and what you need to do. They deduct employees' personal income tax from their monthly salary. That's something that is unique to Burma unique to the United States that most people aren't familiar with, which is the idea that you might be paid on a monthly basis. That happens, I know, in most of Southeast Asia, as well as a few other places. That is infrequent in America, although it does happen. But I think it's an interesting situation. It's a little bit different. And I guess you would have to plan out your month much better, which I do like that. I mean, I think that that's important. They do get Social Security and have Social Security rules, and they have quite a bit of different benefits that you can pay into. If you have 5 or more employees, you have to register at the relevant township office within 10 days of getting the 5th employee. So that's sort of what it seems like what starts your business. As soon as you hit that, I wonder if there's a person who has like a bunch of different businesses all with like 4 people or something. Employees have to put 2% of their monthly salary to this to the Social Security board, and that pays it in the future. Then employers will put 3% in there as well. This is sort of like a 401k. However, it's paid to the government instead of locally. And so that's pretty interesting as well. And they won't take any more than 15,000 kyats. I think that is not a lot of money, but I can't remember exactly. I tend to remember when I was there that it was a lot. 1 second, let me check. I was right. Quick Googling says that's $7. So $7 is the max to be contributed on a monthly basis. Very interesting. Let me know if you like this information. I like to do these. I like to dig deep into employment law. And if you're interested in this sort of thing, leave a like, please share and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.